remember, they need to reinvest or reinvent, invent broadcast television. They need to reinvest in themselves in terms of streaming, et cetera. But how do you do that? I mean, given that you're bringing in all this money, right? You get paid whatever, $1, $2. In the case of ESPN, it might actually be a whole lot more money. How do you get, when you're getting paid from the cable companies and you can't actually stream live, what do you do with that side of the business? And this is where they're really, really troubled. This is where The View is troubled. This is where ESPN is troubled. This is why I think they decided to move forward with this new program on the weekend over The View in case you just don't get enough during the week. And they decided they would be streaming without Whoopi. Actually, that was very interesting in the beginning. I think they worked out something in her contract renegotiation, and now she's agreeing to go on the Saturday show. But here's the thing. It's not doing so well. It's just not, because I don't think that the traditional medium translates. Take a look at this. This is The View weekend. They got 97,000 views. Guys, I think we had a show over the weekend that got 200 and some odd thousand views. Right, so The View has all the resources in the world. Giant sets, live studio audience. They're pumping marketing money into this, and all they can do is 97,000 views for their show. You know, we're doing 200, 300, 400. I mean, that's not unusual for us to see on the little Trish Regan channel right here. Reminder to subscribe and keep those views coming. But anyway, they've got 97,000 views on that line. Now, I'm not going to begrudge them that. It's a start, right? They're trying because they've got to do something. They're restructuring now at ABC News. They had a bunch of layoffs. In fact, they laid off all of Whoopi's team. They're writing, this is the guy who's actually the head of ABC News right now, the chief there, Alman Karmadanovich. You know, I'm not even going to try and say his name because I'm surely going to make it something it's not. Anyway, quote, "This is not easy. The entire industry has been challenged, and restructuring the way we operate has unfortunately had an impact on some of our colleagues." Yeah, that would be the hundreds of layoffs. "We thank them again for their professionalism, dedication, and meaningful contributions." Okay, I'll mean meaningful contributions. Well, they're out now, and you're trying to figure out what the heck you would do. Well, I'll tell you what the answer is. You got to sell, okay? You got to sell that company. Bob Iger, you know this. You know this. You said it yourself. Go back 2 years ago, Sun Valley, speaking with my former colleague at CNBC, David Faber, and you admitted it. Like, these legacy businesses, these are not working for you. And they weren't working then, they're not working now, so good luck on this. I know you need to sell. You know you need to sell. Apparently you can't sell. We'll get into that.
Transformative work is dealing with businesses that are no-growth businesses and what to do about them, and particularly the linear business, which we are expansive in our thinking about, and we're going to look expansively about opportunities there, because clearly it's a business that is going to continue to struggle.
Well, let's stop there for a second then and let me ask you about it. We're talking, I guess, ABC, the network, the stations, but then the cable networks as well.
Yes, correct.
FX, Nat Geo. Is it possible you would look to sell them?
We're going to be expansive. I think if you can interpret what that word means. You know.
We're going to be expensive. You can interpret what that word means. It means you're going to sell. Okay, so he wanted to sell them because that's really the only way he can move forward. And so he tried to recover some value out of them. But guess what? They can't do it. They can't do it. So as a result of this, he had to come out and say, you know what? I'm rethinking it. Let me see if I can find you the article. He started saying, no, they're not a burden. They're actually not a burden. This is in the Hollywood Reporter a month or two ago. Bob Iger says Disney's linear TV assets are not a burden. Well, you see, he has to say that because he couldn't sell them, because the offer price was $10 billion from Nexstar Communications, okay? Nexstar was like, we'll take it off your hands. It's a dying industry. But guess what? It still prints money. I mean, it's not growing, but, you can still squeeze a little bit out. If you get rid of Georgie Poo, if you get rid of Whoopi Poo, if you get rid of Joy Behar, oh my gosh, you might actually have a business. So they just have to pare things down a little bit. Well, Bob Iger's like, oh dear, because, we thought we could get a little bit more money for this thing. It turns out it's only worth $10 billion. What are we going to do? We spent 19 on it. Okay, so you'd be cutting it in half. This is him telling the Hollywood Reporter, we are actually at a point where the linear networks in our company are not a burden at all. They've actually become an asset, he writes. And, we feel good about things. we feel good about things, and we're going to try and make it work. So he's trying to shut down the M&A rumor mill because basically they couldn't get rid of these things. At the time, Iger had tapped. You had former studio heads Kevin Meyer, Tom Staggs. They were trying to advise on the possible sale of linear assets beyond ESPN, beyond the ABC Broadcast Network and the FX channel. And now, apparently, these guys are busy trying to figure out how they can turn ESPN into a streaming business. So that's the latest news. They can't sell it. Remember, $19 billion is what Disney paid for the network back in, I want to say, the early 90s. It is now in the marketplace today, and this was like a year or two ago, so it's probably worth less now. It's worth $10 billion. And so Disney's looking at it, they're like, oh my gosh, well, what do we do? Maybe we just keep these businesses and we try and transition them, we try and figure it out. Good luck with that. So this is a marketing person at Disney, whose last name is Fox, noted that ESPN had reached some 200 million adults in the month of March on its digital platforms alone. Boom! Okay, not to brag or anything. 88 million we reached right here in the last 28 days on YouTube, plus another 49 million on Facebook, plus multiples on Rumble and Spotify. You should follow my podcast on Spotify if you don't have it there yet. We just started that. So great, ESPN, I'm proud of you, okay? I'm just saying, you may have a ways to go. You and The View, okay? So they're all excited. They're generating 400 to 500 clips a day. Wow, gosh, they're way ahead of me. I don't have 400, 500 clips a day, but I do have 88 million. So ratio-wise, I'd say I'm ahead, all right? And I didn't start this that long ago, just a couple years ago, actually. You guys, so many of you have been here from the very beginning. And they're saying, oh, the way that sports is consumed, a lot of people just want to watch the play. And so they'll watch it in a streaming format after. Okay, good. Keep telling yourselves that. I'm sure that that'll work out just fine for you, except that, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into broadcasting these sports. And you're going to have to remember that, ESPN, because you got to pay up big time to get the rights for half of this stuff. So they're in a mess. They got to try and figure this out. Here's what I was telling you earlier. You know what? Nexstar tried to buy Disney for $10 billion. Disney, do not forget, had bought it already for $19 billion way back in, it was either the late 80s, early 90s. And this company's stock price, it's just been cratering. It's basically less than half what it was after COVID. So I don't think that there's a real financial path here. All right, ABC News is a headache. They got a $16 million hit as a result of Georgie Poo we just talked about. All of this just adds up to problem after problem after problem after problem. So what do you do with this right now? I think Bob Iger would love to sell it. He told us that a couple of years ago. He'd still love to sell it. He can't sell it. It's not worth anything because the growth isn't there. And so you look at the entire landscape right now, and it reminds me of what's happening at MSNBC. You're paying $25 million to one Rachel Maddow. I'm sorry, that gravy train is over. $25 million, and now Comcast is running, and I mean running for the hills, trying to get away from Rachel Maddow, trying to get away from that whole Morning Joe team, because that is not a good business either to be in. One, you get the headache of what's going on in the administration and the FCC breathing down your back. And then two, you've got no real growth opportunity there. So they're trying to tell their talent, oh, it'll be great. Investors can really, really focus on you guys. Well, they're going to focus on you. And let me just tell you, they are going to cut your salaries. Rachel, you are not going to be making $25 million, maybe $2.5 million, and you're going to actually have to work 5 nights a week. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that.